Daniel Hussain, 19, murdered Bibar Henry and Nicole Smallman in a London park as part of a demented and evil plan to get rich by winning a lottery jackpot and secure the love of a girl at his school. A murderous teenager was driven by his own selfish desires when he killed two complete strangers on behalf of mythical demons who lived in his bloodthirsty imagination. At the heart of the murders of Bibar Henry, 46, and Nicole Smallman, 27, was an evil plan by 19-year-old Daniel Hussain to get rich by winning a lottery jackpot and secure the love of a girl at his school, the Old Bailey Herd. But ultimately he was a failure on all counts. He never won the lottery and girls found him creepy. Hussain, who is of Iraqi descent, had much younger siblings and divided his time between his parents' homes, with his mum in southeast London and dad who lived in Wembley, where he stabbed the two sisters to death in Friant Country Park on June 6. Socially awkward with girls, he ran into problems at Thomas Tallis School, a mixed comprehensive in Woolwich, southeast London. He was referred by his school to the Prevent Anti-Terror Scheme in October 2017 over concern he was vulnerable to radicalization and violent extremism. He was given support and intervention through the Channel de Radicalization program until May 2018, with follow-ups after 6 and 12 months, with no further concerns reported. Hussain had no plans for further education and was instead looking to go abroad to a summer camp in the United States, police said. But by the time of the COVID-19 lockdown, Hussain had fallen under the spell of a sinister demon cult, evidenced by material found in his bedroom. Detective Chief Inspector Simon Harding concluded Hussain's ideology made him arrogant and very dangerous, particularly to women. He said, "He is a particularly arrogant young man. Described as a boy in court, but he is a young man with an ideology that would lead him to do that with such calmness. He is quite a frightening character." He was speaking online to other people about love spells and potions, and there was some evidence of far-right research. He added, "We believe there was a lot more he was accessing on the dark web." Jurors were shown pictures of Hussain's narrow bedroom, with a single bed, glass television shelving and wardrobe. Handwritten notes found on the shelf exhibited a preoccupation with gaining money, power and sex. Hussain chose King Lucifuge Refocal to strike a bargain to win the Mega Millions super jackpot. Appropriately enough, Lucifuge Refocal, which in Latin means, he who flees the light, is in charge of hell's government and treasury by order of Lucifer, according to the black magic book The Grand Grimoire. The note singled out women only to be sacrificed, suggesting a hatred of the opposite sex. Even more disturbingly, Hussain promised to carry on making sacrifices for as long as he was able, so he could have gone on to murder more. The note also made it clear that he knew what he was doing was wrong, because one of his requests was not to be caught. The fact that he planned his attack carefully by buying knives, a full-face balaclava, tape and shovels shows these were not just words but deadly intent. He fully expected his efforts to be rewarded, as he continued to spend money on Mega Millions jackpot bets and lottery tickets in the days afterwards, without success. Queen Bylth, to whom Hussain appealed to make him irresistible to women, would appear to be linked to the King of Hell, King Bylth. A handwritten book of spells was also found in his bedroom along with pieces of paper bearing symbols for demons on them. Jurors were not told about the A-level students' activities online and on the dark web, much of which remains unknown due to his refusal to hand over passwords. While Murder Squad detectives liaised with counter-terrorism colleagues, the murders were not treated as terror-related. Detective Chief Inspector Simon Harding said Hussain's demon pacts did not refer to race, but he could not rule out a racist element to the killings. Hussain, who had no previous convictions, told police he suffered from Asperger's syndrome and memory problems. And he claimed that cuts to his hand from the savage knife attack on his victims were sustained when he was robbed. Yet his legal team called no evidence about him having a recognized condition and instead asked jurors not to hold his odd behavior against him. That included frequently interrupting proceedings for toilet breaks, sitting with his back to the trial judge Mrs. Justice Whipple, and staring at the victim's family and female court staff. He was even seen making an L for loser sign with his fingers at the first paramedic who attended the victims. His lawyer, Real Carmi Jones QC, addressed the issue in her closing speech, saying, "You have seen how he has behaved in court. You may think at times his behavior has been odd. Please judge him on the evidence, not on his behavior in court if you have noticed something out of the ordinary." However, DCI Harding said his behavior was that of a belligerent child. He said, "The way he performs in the courtroom is despicable. The women he tried to attract, trying to engage with family in court, trying to catch their eye, making loser signs at professional witnesses." DCI Harding said rather than displaying any signs of mental illness, which were explored before his trial, Hussain was just evil and very dangerous. He said, "I'm totally convinced he would have gone on to commit more murders. He would have been looking at 6 in 6 months if he had fulfilled his contract." Hussain had denied 2 charges of murder and possession of a knife but was found guilty at the Old Bailey on Tuesday. Daniel Hussain was just 18 when he brutally stabbed to death Bibar Henry, 46, and Nicole Smallman, 27, as they enjoyed a summer's evening in Friant Country Park in Wembley. The mother of the sisters, the Venerable Mina Smallman, a retired Anglican cleric and former schoolteacher, said she had never come across such evil, and fears Hussain may have become a killing machine if ever set free from prison. Due to his young age, a whole life order could not legally have been imposed on the teenager. In sentencing Hussain, now 19 years old, to life in prison, Mrs. Justice Whipple ordered him to serve at least 35 years behind bars before he could be considered for release. "You had found these 2 women, you were a stranger to them, you surprised them, you terrified them, and you killed them," she said. She said Hussain had displayed apparent nonchalance after the murders, having shattered the lives of relatives and friends of the 2 women. To lose 2 treasured family members and friends in this way is unimaginable, but you made that loss worse by your refusal to acknowledge your actions. She added, "Bizarre though your pact with the devil may appear to others, this was your belief system and your own commitment to the murder of innocent women." Hussain appeared in court via video link from HMP Belmarsh for the sentencing hearing, due to an outbreak of COVID-19 on his prison wing. He was seen smiling and tossing his face mask in the air before the court proceedings began, and could be seen squatting on his chair during the court hearing. Hussain turned away from the camera as the judge passed sentence, as she told him, "You planned these vicious attacks, you intended to kill, and you did it for money and misguided pursuit of power." Prosecutor Oliver Glasgow QC said Hussain has steadfastly refused to accept responsibility for the murders, insisting his face had been photoshopped onto CCTV footage and damning evidence linking him to the crimes had been planted. He said no link between the murders and Hussain's diagnosis of being on the autistic spectrum had been found. The offenses were the product of his belief in Satanism and entering into a bargain with the devil to obtain financial reward as a result of these offenses. The court heard how Hussain had bought a knife at Asda in preparation for the killings and also purchased a black balaclava from Amazon. He stalked the 2 sisters as they danced in the park, before stabbing Ms. Henry 8 times and inflicting 28 injuries on Ms. Smallman as she tried to fight back. The killer dragged the bodies of the 2 women into the bushes, where they were discovered by Ms. Smallman's boyfriend, Adam Stone, around 2 days later. "I will never be able to unsee what I saw," said Mr. Stone, describing his ongoing torment from the grisly discovery of the 2 women lying side by side in a hedgerow. Hussain, who cut his hand in the knife attack and dropped the murder weapon at the scene, was traced by police using DNA samples. He had cleared up the sisters' picnic to try to conceal the murders, and threw their phones into a nearby pond. In the 10 days after the murders, Hussain spent £162.88 on lottery tickets and bets, without success. In his letter to the demon, Hussain had pledged to sacrifice only women, in the hope of landing fruitful rewards, and wealth and power. He promised to perform a minimum of 6 sacrifices every 6 months for as long as I am free and physically capable. Hussain had signed his own name in blood at the bottom of the page, and left a space for the demon, dubbed the Prime Minister of Hell, to add his signature. The killer had come to the attention of police at the age of 15 over fears he was vulnerable to radicalization and violent extremism. It is believed he turned to murder after being influenced by the work of an American black magician who has links with a British-based Nazi Satanist group known as the Order of Nine Angles. Ahead of Thursday's sentencing hearing, the Met Police apologized for its handling of the case after the 2 sisters were reported missing. Scotland Yard said it agreed with the findings of an independent Office for Police Conduct report that found the level of service provided over the weekend when the sisters went missing was below the standard that it should have been. In response, the sisters' mother said, "The time for apologies is long gone." She said, "No one was taking it seriously. There was no search put in place by police. Our phone calls were being disregarded." Hussain, from Blackheath, denied but was convicted of 2 counts of murder and possession of offensive weapon.